Venom, Let There Be Carnage is a new comic book movie directed by Andy Serkis. It is the sequel to the original movie Venom, which came out in 2019, I think it was. This movie once again stars Tom Hardy as the title character of Venom, and it also stars Woody Harrelson as the villain of the movie, Carnage. Naomi Harris and Michelle Williams also show up in this movie. By the way, before I continue with this review, thank you guys for tuning into this video. If you would be so kind, please like the video, share it, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It makes a massive difference to the channel, and I do appreciate you for that. The only thing I can really tell you about the story for this movie is that Eddie Brock and Venom are once again going through some things. They're kind of butting heads and figuring some shit out. That's really all I can say about that. Eddie Brock, through his journalistic responsibilities or something, comes into contact with Cletus Cassidy, aka the man who will become Carnage. Next thing you know, Cletus Cassidy becomes Carnage. So now Carnage is like, you know, trying to kill people and wreck some shit, and so Eddie and Venom have to, you know, stop Carnage, and that's why that's really all the movie is. There's really nothing else to tell you about the story here. I'm not leaving anything out. That's basically what the movie is. So here's the thing. This movie is so stupid. It is. It's a stupid, dumbass movie, and that is both a positive and a negative for a film like this. You'll notice 5 minutes into the movie how dumb it is, but then again, you notice that about the first movie. Like, if you watch the first movie, you could probably tell within 5-10 minutes that it was going to be a dumb movie. And that kind of dumb, gleeful silliness permeates this entire film. Andy Serkis took everything about the first film and he kind of doubles down on it for the sequel. If you loved the first movie and you loved how silly it was and how throwback it was and you loved everything about the first film, well, you're probably going to enjoy this movie too. If, however, you didn't really care one way or the other about the first film and you didn't like it that much, I mean, you know, you'll feel probably the same about this one. This movie is not going to change you on Venom. It's not going to improve your feelings on either movie. It's just gonna stay the same. So the movie seems to know that it's stupid. Like, there's a certain amount of self-awareness that comes with a film like this. It does feel like a film that was made like in the early to mid 2000s or something like that. Obviously, Tom Hardy is great. He's a great actor, one of the greatest actors of his generation, I think. And his banter and his back and forth with Venom, it was one of the biggest strengths of the first film. They do even more of that in this movie. Tom Hardy is just enjoying this so much, and you can tell in his performance that he has a passion for this character and for this franchise. I mean, it's just oozing out of him, no pun intended, or I guess, yeah, kind of pun intended. Eddie and Venom, they do more of that in this movie, and it's on a much more personal relationship type of thing, like that bromance, or romance, I guess, if you wanted to look at it that way. There are so many moments of cheese and corny and stupid shit that happens in this movie. Some of it you can't help but laugh at. Like, some of it is entertaining. If you're looking to laugh, just watch Eddie and Venom talk shit to each other, and they do that for like the majority of the movie, so you're in good hands. Carnage is one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man villains, so obviously I was really curious to see how Carnage himself was going to be portrayed in a movie like this. Woody Harrelson would not have been my first choice. I think there are other better choices out there to play Cletus Cassidy. Seems like he's having a lot of fun. That energetic, crazy, zany, over-the-top persona. I like Carnage and his design. Like, I think he looks good in the movie. Carnage himself is involved in some of the most badass action scenes that are in the film, and most of those action scenes are probably towards the second half of the movie, but when they hit, they hit. You can tell that some of the action scenes are edited, though. You can tell that some of them were cut down to fit into the PG-13 mandate. When you've seen so many movies, and you've seen rated R movies and PG-13 movies, you could just tell some of the violence, the way that it was cut and shot. It was filmed so that you can't show too much blood, or you can't really show, like, if somebody's getting strangled, they can't show exactly what happens, you know? When Venom and Carnage are doing their thing and when they're throwing down, it's pretty epic. It's pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. It does end on kind of an interesting note. There is a mid-credit scene that I can't really spoil here. The movie is silly, and sometimes that works, and then sometimes it doesn't. There's definitely some cringe moments and some humor that doesn't really work in this film. Similar to the first one, you feel like the story is not really built or based on anything. It's just kind of stuff happening, and it leads to stuff happening that eventually leads to Venom and Carnage fighting. Like, the story itself, it's kind of there's not really much to tell here. In fact, for like the first 2 acts of the film, all you really have is Eddie and Venom and their conflict in this movie, and some of that starts to get a little bit repetitive and redundant after a while because you feel like you've already seen this type of story from them. So the storytelling overall is pretty weak. Some of the humor is. Some of the subplots that pop up in this movie feel really unnecessary. That applies to some of the side characters too. Like Naomi Harris is in this movie and she plays Shriek, and yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Shriek is in this movie because they just wanted Shriek to be in this movie. There's no actual real important reason for her to be in the movie, especially by the end of it. The movie does become kind of a mess in certain spots in terms of how it's telling its story and the lack of logic that just permeates the entire proceeding. But again, you know what you're getting yourself into when you watch a movie like this. You have to punish yourself for having a brain and actually thinking about some of the stupid shit that happens in the movie. The choice is yours. Overall, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, it wasn't a bad movie, but it also isn't one I can highly recommend. I'm gonna leave this one in the Fortress of Solitude. It's a pretty important and pretty holy shit type of mid-credit scene, so definitely stay after the movie and watch that. I wish I could talk about it, but I'm not going to because, again, no spoilers. I probably will talk about it later though. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.